People have asked me, why should I get married? My parents got divorced. My uncle got divorced. My sister got divorced. And my brother's about to get divorced. Why should I get married? And it's a very good question. Because if people are seeing so many of their loved ones get divorced, so why go into the situation? And then a few years later, we're going to be in a fight. Now, of course, nobody gets married with the plan that they're getting divorced, but it happens so frequent. And the answer to that is, first of all, this question is a very, very important question. And the question is also the answer. There's a reason we're getting divorced. And that is because to remain happily married, you really have to face yourself in a way that you don't have to when you don't get married. If I'm living on my own and the other person is living on their own, we could be friends, we could date, we can go out, we can have fun, but we don't have to face ourselves the way we need to when we get married. The Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, has a very interesting commentary saying that a person's spouse is their second half. It's like two halves of one soul. Like Adam and Eve were formed, according to the Bible, as Siamese twins, and then God splits them up. So it's really one person that becomes two people, and now they search for each other. So the Zohar, which is the most foundational work of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism, maintains that a husband and a wife are two halves of one soul. So it's like one soul split into two, and then you meet your second half. So it's a beautiful interpretation, which basically says that my spouse allows me to meet my second half. But I want to give you another interpretation. And this interpretation comes from my second half, from my wife. I think it's her original interpretation. When she told it to me a while ago, I loved it. I thought it was on target, not only because my wife said it, because it happened to be amazing insight. She said, what the Kabbalah means is not only that you meet your second half, like you meet your husband, you meet your wife, it also means you meet your own second half that's inside of you. We all have a part of us that we don't know. We never had to tap into. So inside me, there's two halves. There's the conscious half and there's the unconscious half. The unconscious half is usually more than half. It's usually 99%. Marriage is not just you meet another person. You get to meet your own second half that you would have never met. And there's a reason for it. Because the way, it's very funny, and I'm laughing, it could also be tragic. But the way God created the world is that we often will marry the person who triggers our wounds that we never healed. So it's interesting. So sometimes there may be a person in my life that has a child. I really needed their love, or I needed their attachment, or I needed their connection, and I did not get it. And I'm searching for it in all different ways. And I often marry the person who, in my imagination, subconsciously, can give me that which I was always searching for. When they don't give it to me, they may not even know that they have that responsibility. It triggers all my old wounds. And now I have an opportunity to actually heal, to actually find how I need to be able to fill my void from within, because another person can't fill my void. And when I can really heal, then I can actually enter into a very powerful and healthy marriage. So the power of marriage is also its greatest challenge. That is, marriage forces us, challenges us, and empowers us to confront parts of ourselves that otherwise we may never confront. We may, but we may never. And it really brings us to the brink. In other words, if you don't face this, and both, the wife and the husband, nobody's exempt. Like he can do the work and she can be on vacation. She could do work and he's on vacation. They both really need to go to a much deeper place. When we do that, we really achieve what the Kabbalists call the tikkun. We achieve the healing for which our soul came down to this world. And that's a priceless gift, because as long as I don't achieve that healing, I'm not fulfilling my mission. So I could say it's hard. It's hard. And sometimes marriages don't work. Like sometimes we try and try and try, but they don't work. And sometimes a divorce can save a life. If you're dealing with active abuse, if you're dealing with levels of insanity or horrible situations that there's really no way out, the Torah gives us an option for divorce, because sometimes that's the right thing. But it's always the last option. It's not something we run into, because as long as two people are willing to put in the work, the incredible bliss that they will achieve when they manage to work through their traumas and connect in an authentic way, is unparalleled.